What if I told you that the SUV you're looking at right now was never supposed to exist? That the engineers who designed this thing were told it was impossible, too bold, too advanced, too far ahead of everything else on the road? And yet, here it is. The 2026 to 27 Hummer H4. And once you see what this machine is actually capable of, I promise you, you will never look at another SUV the same way again. Welcome back to the Car Analyst, the channel where we go beyond the surface, beyond the press releases, and beyond the spec sheets to tell you exactly what a vehicle really means, what it really feels like, and why it actually matters. I am glad you are here today because what we are breaking down in this video is genuinely one of the most significant moments in the history of the SUV segment. Stay with me until the very end, because there is one particular feature on this H4 that almost nobody is talking about. And it might be the single most important thing Hummer has ever put into a production vehicle. Let us start from the outside, because the moment you lay eyes on the H4, you feel something shift. This is not a facelift. This is not an evolution. This is the complete reinvention of what a Hummer is supposed to be. The original H1 was built for the battlefield. The H2 and H3 brought that military presence to the streets. But the H4 does something entirely different. It makes you feel like the streets were built for it. The front fascia is commanding in a way that very few vehicles in the world can claim. The grille is massive, vertical, and layered with carbon fiber texturing that catches light differently depending on the angle you were viewing it from. It is not decorative carbon. It is structural, intentional, and aggressive in the best possible way. Across the top of that grille, in clean chrome lettering, the name Hummer sits with a kind of confidence that does not need to shout to be heard. It simply exists, and everything around it adjusts accordingly. The headlight clusters on either side are narrow, sculpted, and deeply technical in their arrangement. This is not the soft, rounded lighting you see on family crossovers trying to look sporty. The H4's lighting elements are razor-sharp and angular, with a daytime running light signature that you will recognize from a mile away. There's something almost tactical about it, like infrared equipment on a stealth aircraft. And that is not an accident. Every lighting decision on this vehicle was made to reinforce a singular message: this is the most serious SUV on the planet. Running across the roofline is a full-width LED light bar that adds both function and theater to the design. Whether you are navigating a dark trail or sitting in a city car park, that light bar makes a statement that no competitor in this segment is currently making. It transforms the H4 from an aggressive SUV into something that feels genuinely cinematic. Move around to the side and the proportions of this vehicle are extraordinary. The wheel arches are flared and angular, housing enormous all-terrain rubber that sits on multi-spoke black alloy wheels, finished in a gloss that matches the obsidian paintwork. The tires are not an afterthought. They are a visual centerpiece, and they communicate capability in a language that every driver intuitively understands. Tall, wide, deeply treaded. This vehicle is not pretending to go off-road. It is built to. The body itself is draped in carbon fiber accent panels along the lower sections, giving the H4 a layered multi-material appearance that is more supercar than SUV. The stance is high and planted simultaneously, a visual contradiction that Hummer has somehow resolved perfectly. From the side, the greenhouse is tight and purposeful. The windows are angled just enough to suggest speed without sacrificing the commanding visibility that a vehicle this size demands. And then you reach the rear, and the H4 does something truly unexpected. The taillights span the full width of the vehicle, in a continuous light bar configuration, with angular geometric internal elements that pulse with a precision it feels almost digital. Below them, a diffuser-style rear bumper with quad rectangular exhaust outlets, chrome-tipped and symmetric, delivers a finishing touch that bridges the gap between track car engineering and full-size luxury. This is not a rear end that apologizes for the size of the vehicle. It celebrates it. Now, let us talk about what waits for you on the other side of that door. Because the interior of the H4 is where this vehicle stops being a concept and starts being a genuinely transformative experience. From the moment you open the door, and the door, by the way, opens and closes with the kind of solid, vault-like thump that makes you immediately feel like you are entering somewhere important. You are met with a cabin that feels like the inside of a private aircraft crossed with a technology laboratory. The combination of deep black leather and rich cognac tan creates a two-tone environment that feels premium without trying too hard. The quilted stitching on the seats, door cards, and center console is intricate and precise, and it gives the cabin a handcrafted quality that you simply do not expect in a vehicle that can also crawl over boulders. The dashboard architecture is dominated by a sweeping panoramic display that runs almost the full width of the vehicle. This is not a screen. This is a command center. It integrates the digital instrument cluster, the navigation system, the vehicle settings, the connectivity hub, and the AI interface into one seamless visual experience. There are no hard boundaries between one function and another. Everything flows, everything responds, and everything is customizable to a degree that feels almost personal. The system learns your preferences. It adapts to your driving style. It remembers where you have been and anticipates where you are going. Below the main display, there is a secondary touchscreen on the center console that handles climate, media, passenger controls, and a suite of off-road diagnostics. The physical controls, and there are some, deliberately retained for the functions that genuinely benefit from tactile feedback, are machined with the same carbon and chrome language as the exterior. Nothing in this cabin feels like it was added as an afterthought. Everything belongs exactly where it is. The ambient lighting system deserves its own conversation. It is not merely decorative. VH4 uses a multi-zone lighting architecture that can shift color temperature based on drive mode, time of day, or personal preference. In sport mode, the cabin takes on a cooler, more focused tone. In comfort, it warms to something that feels almost residential. The result is an environment that genuinely changes your mood as you drive. And that is a design achievement that goes well beyond the visual. Now, here is where things get truly interesting. And this is the part I promised you would not want to miss. The H4 integrates what Hummer is calling an adaptive intelligence layer directly into the vehicle architecture. This is not a voice assistant that reads your calendar aloud. This is a system that monitors road conditions in real time, adjusts suspension preemptively based on terrain data, and communicates with infrastructure around the vehicle to improve safety margins before you are even aware a hazard exists. The system uses a combination of forward-facing sensors, side radar arrays, and overhead satellite connectivity to build a live map of the vehicle's immediate environment that is updated multiple times per second. What that means in practice is that the H4 can modulate its suspension, its power delivery, its braking bias, and its steering weight all simultaneously, based on what it anticipates is coming rather than what has already happened. This is the difference between reactive technology and predictive technology, and it changes the driving experience in a way that has to be felt to be understood. On a straight highway, the car feels planted and effortless. On a rough trail, it feels controlled and confident in a manner that should not be physically possible for a vehicle of this size and weight. The powertrain options for the H4 reflect a market that is shifting but is not yet fully committed to any single direction. Hummer has engineered the H4 to work with a powerful hybrid system that delivers substantial electric torque alongside a refined combustion unit, offering the instant response that drivers demand from a performance SUV while maintaining the range and flexibility that makes a vehicle like this genuinely usable on a daily basis and capable on a week-long expedition. The power output is significant, more than enough to move this machine with authority in any situation. But the way the power is delivered is what sets it apart. It is smooth, progressive, and deeply linear. There is no drama in the power delivery, only confidence. The drivetrain is full-time all-wheel drive with a sophisticated torque vectoring system that can redistribute power between individual wheels rather than simply between axles. This allows the H4 to rotate with a precision that a vehicle this size has no right to possess. In a tight mountain hairpin, it tucks in. On a loose gravel surface, it stabilizes instantly. And on a long motorway cruise, the system quietly disappears into the background and lets you relax. The suspension setup is a multi-link configuration front and rear, with adaptive damping that can be tuned on the fly. In its softest setting, the H4 glides over road imperfections with a composure that makes a long family drive genuinely pleasurable rather than merely tolerable. In its firmest setting, the vehicle tightens up into something far more athletic. Body roll reduces meaningfully, turn-in response sharpens, and the whole experience communicates a different kind of capability. Safety on the H4 is not a list of standard features ticked off on a regulatory checklist. It is a philosophy built into every system on the vehicle. The autonomous emergency braking system operates at speeds and distances that exceed current industry standards. The lane assistance technology is gentle and intuitive rather than intrusive and corrective. The blind spot monitoring uses a 360-degree camera system that renders the vehicle's surroundings in a three-dimensional overhead view, so that parking this large machine in a tight urban space is genuinely stress-free rather than an exercise in judgment and anxiety. Highway driving assist takes a significant step beyond traditional adaptive cruise control. At motorway speeds, the H4 can maintain lane position, manage following distance, and respond to traffic patterns with a smoothness that feels genuinely human in its calibration. It does not brake abruptly. It does not chase gaps aggressively. It drives the way an experienced, confident driver drives, with patience, awareness, and measured authority. From a practical standpoint, the H4 offers interior space that is genuinely usable for a family of 5 or 6 with luggage. The rear seats are wide, generously padded, and positioned at a height that allows adults to sit with their full posture, not the hunched, compacted position that many large SUVs impose on rear passengers, despite their exterior dimensions. The cargo area behind the rear seats is substantial and accessible, with a low, wide opening that makes loading real-world objects straightforward rather than theoretical. The connectivity ecosystem is built around the understanding that this vehicle will often be someone's primary mobile workspace. Multiple USB-C fast charging points, wireless charging pads, and an optional rear seat entertainment system allow every occupant to stay connected, productive, or entertained regardless of where the journey takes them. Over-the-air software updates mean that the H4 you own in year 3 is meaningfully better than the H4 you bought on day 1. New features, refined calibrations, and expanded capabilities that arrive while the vehicle is parked overnight. Who is the 2026 to 27 Hummer H4 actually for? It is for the person who refuses to choose between luxury and capability. It is for the driver who wants to arrive at a black-tie dinner and a remote mountain trail in the same vehicle on the same day. It is for the family that takes adventure seriously but also values every comfort that a premium interior can provide. It is for the individual who looks at most large SUVs and finds them either too compromised in their ambition or too corporate in their character. The H4 has genuine character. It has a point of view, and in a segment that is largely converged toward a safe, predictable middle ground that is extraordinarily rare. There are vehicles in this category that offer more range. There are vehicles that offer a softer ride. There are vehicles that are more discreet. But there is nothing in this segment right now that delivers the combination of presence, technology, capability, and interior craftsmanship that the H4 brings to the table with this level of cohesion and conviction. This is not a vehicle designed by committee to satisfy the most people possible. This is a vehicle designed to be exactly what it is, fully, unapologetically, and brilliantly. The 2026 to 27 Hummer H4 is not simply the next generation of a nameplate. It is a statement about where the entire category is going. It is a preview of what serious, purpose-built, technology-forward SUVs will look like as this decade progresses. And Hummer has delivered it, not as a concept, not as a promise, but as a production reality that you can see, touch, and drive. The future of the SUV is not coming. You're looking at it right now. If this video gave you something valuable, a new perspective, a detail you had not considered, or simply a deeper appreciation for what Hummer has accomplished here, then please hit that like button and subscribe to the Car Analyst. Every week we go deeper on the vehicles that actually matter, and your support allows us to keep doing exactly that. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I want to know what you think about the H4, and whether you believe it lives up to everything it is promising. The conversation starts there.